Good morning from snowy Canada. It's a perfect day to be talking about winter hammock camping. If you're new to winter hammock camping, then I strongly advise that you start out gradually. Go above freezing, then hang at freezing, and work your way down. Don't dive right into minus 20 or minus 30 because it could be a dangerous situation. So with that said, let's see what's in my pack. I've got a closed cell foam pad here, my minus 20 down bag, my Draumr XL, Fuel Winter Light XL, an inflatable pillow, not necessary but I like it, and a sleeping bag liner which enhances the warmth of my bag a little bit. That's it. So let's go set it up. So once you've found a nice place to camp and two well-spaced trees, how do you go about setting up the Draumr? It's exactly the same as summer, with one big exception: keeping warm from the bottom. That is your biggest challenge in winter hammock camping. Without the right insulation from the bottom, even if you have a minus 20 bag like this and it's only 0 degrees out, you could be shivering all night, and I know that from experience. Now why is that? Insulation relies on loft to keep you warm. Nice fluffy down with pockets of air. That's going to keep you warm, but underneath you, the part of the sleeping bag that's under your body is squished like this. It has no loft, almost none, almost no ability to insulate you or keep you warm. So if your sleeping bag is pretty much useless at keeping you warm from underneath, then how do you do it? Sleeping pad. Sleeping pad is required in a Draumr for its structure since it sleeps perpendicular to the ridge line, right? I'm sleeping this way, the ridge line runs from tree to tree this way. So the sleeping pad is going to help accomplish this. This pad here is the Fuel XL Winter Light, which has an R value of 5, which is good till about minus 18 or so. And then this is the regular Fuel, which has an R value of 3, which is good to about minus 4 degrees Celsius. If you want to stretch that without buying another pad, you can always add just a regular old closed cell foam pad, which will probably add an R value of 1, maybe a bit more, and extend the temperature range of your existing pad. Be sure to use the pump sack to inflate the pad in the winter so that moisture isn't getting into the pad. If you're using your own breath to inflate your pad, then you're going to be putting a lot of moisture into it, which will get into the insulation, and that makes the insulation less efficient. You can actually feel if moisture has gotten into the insulation because in the morning when you roll it up, it'll feel kind of crunchy. Okay, now that I've got my pad in there along with the sticks for the foot box and head, next question you might be wondering is, do I still use the bug net? Does it serve any purpose? I do not use the bug mesh in the winter. I feel like it would offer a small amount of heat retention, keep a little bit of your body heat kind of closer to you, maybe keep the wind off of you a little bit if there is any, but at the expense of your ventilation. And I think the ventilation is a lot more important in that equation. All the moisture you're breathing out, I would rather it just float up into the air, get rid of it, rather than have anything to contain it, because it's very important to get rid of your moisture. Now what about the tarp? Is it still necessary in the winter? If it's going to snow or rain, then yeah, of course. If it's not, you may want just a clear view, but you may get frost collecting on you if you don't use a tarp. What I often like to do is just rig the back half of the tarp so that it covers my head and face and frost isn't collecting on me as much up there. However, that leaves your sleeping bag and legs exposed, and then you can get frost on that. That frost might melt the next day and get your sleeping bag damp, and then the next night you're going to be cold. But for an overnighter, that doesn't matter so much. You'll get home, dry it out. I was out a couple of weeks ago in the hammock at minus 17, felt like minus 23 with the wind chill, and that's how I rigged this old tarp that night and had a great view of the stars. I'll give you a quick look at that now. I strung up the tarp only on the back half so that it would collect the frost like this instead of it landing on my face. So it was really only covering my face, and frost formed on my sleeping bag beneath, like down on my legs, but that was fine because I only needed it for one night. Like here for instance, everything is covered in frost this morning, but my backpack, which was underneath the hammock, doesn't have it, so that was the purpose of that. And then from here that allowed me to look up at the stars, which were amazing last night, so that was nice. There are a few ways to get into the Draumr, but what I like is to grab onto the center straps, grab the far one, grab the close one, and it just kind of tells you where the middle is. I find that to be the easiest way to get in. And I even bring my boots into the hammock all night. I just take them off in here. I don't really want to step in the snow without my boots on. So I bring them in. As long as that snow stays good and cold, it's going to remain dry. And then I just leave my boots down here at the bottom, maybe tuck them into the side a little bit. And then once I get up in the morning, I can just slip them back on without having to get out without my boots. So I'll leave it at that for the beginner's guide to winter hammock camping. I think that's enough to get you started out here. And if you want to take it to the next level, the second part of this series is going to talk about how to stay warm, more advanced tips and tricks to keep you warm on a bitter cold night out here. See you on the next one.